This is your video assistance help for lab number 1. And sometimes students get a little caught up in the technology and where they're at, just need a little guidance forward. So let's see what we can do here. So first of all, I would start from the module area. In the module area, what we're looking for is this lab number 1. So I'm going to collapse some things here that are in my way. Lab number 1. So we have a couple different things, and it's repetitive in lab number 2. We'll have a paper version. The first thing you should do is you should download and print out the paper version. It's identical to the electronic version. It just gives you something to work on along the way. You can see here that I've printed mine out and downloaded it and printed it, and here it is on my computer screen. Secondly, there'll be this video help that you're watching right now. There'll also be this important piece of what we call essential synthesis data. It's a reading, and you're going to need this reading in order to answer some questions. So when the paper is referred to from the reading of the essential synthesis data, this is where you're going to want to come to. The little rocket ship here, this is where you actually are going to enter your answers. You can see here that it's due on September 28th, and it's worth 57 points. Okay, so this is where you enter, and this is what the answers that you're going to enter from. So let's take a look first of all at the lab itself. So it says that we have lab number 1. It synthesizes chapters 1 and 2, and it's that essential synthesis. Canvas will automatically grade 43 points of it, and I will grade 14 remaining points. Those 14 remaining points are your uploads, pictures, and some of the writing you're going to do. First of all, you should complete all the homework up to chapter 2. You should read the Unit A Essential Synthesis. Remember, I showed you where that was online. And you'll have 2 attempts for the automatic graded portion of this lab. It is important to remember that if you do take a second attempt because you weren't happy with your first grade, you'll have to re-enter every answer. So you should definitely keep track. Again, print out that piece of paper that I pointed you to and keep track of it, because not only will you have to enter the things you got wrong, but you'll have to re-enter the things you have correct. So you want to take good track of that. When you look at part 1 of this particular assignment, question, for instance, Q1, question number 1, it's just matching. So you're going to look at all of the terms that are given here, and you're going to match them to how they best fit. And I'll show you that when we open the electronic version. It is important to say that some terms will be used more than once. Categorical may be used more than one time. Okay, so this is just strictly matching statements. And here are the questions. So question number 1, and it'll be the same in the electronic, is a variable is classified as, choose the best word, if it divides the data set into groups. Okay, so just this quantity of vocabulary words to be used in all of these questions down through number 20. Part 2, applications. So in here, you'll actually watch a video created by TED.com, and there's a link to it in the material that you open up. And when you open it up, there's a very short video. It's not that long. And TED Talks goes into in-depth about the socioeconomic footprint or ecological footprint and happiness throughout different countries. And so what we have here is we have a graph that has Latin America down through former communist countries, and they're dictated by different key codes. So number 1, round dot right here with Latin America. Number 2, Western nations up in here. In question number 2, for instance, for in here, you'll be ask questions about what country best fits the question that's presented to you. Make sure that when you're asking these, you're referring back to this in addition to the TED Talks that you have watched. They're going to talk about positive and negative correlations. They're going to talk about ecological footprints and happiness. Remember, ecological footprint is on the x-axis. The further to the right, the higher the ecological footprint. And the happiness index, the higher vertically, the higher the happiness index. Remember, we're looking for trends here, okay? Like, for instance, in these blue diamonds here, which are are sub-Sahara Africa, there's a trend going up this way. As ecological footprint gets larger, so does the happiness. And those are the kinds of things you want to talk about when you're answering those questions. All of these are just simply, these will be your choices, and these will be your questions. So right now, we're just simply all multiple choice on everything. Notice, though, that when you get to question number 7, there is an essay. In your own words, it says at least one paragraph, 3 or 4 sentences. I probably should take out that thing, at least one paragraph. I want a paragraph, 3 to 4 sentences, which use vocabulary and use what you're learning in the course to describe what you are seeing. Don't write a term paper of multiple paragraphs. A paragraph will get the job done. Be direct, be to the point, but be efficient. Don't allow yourself to go rambling on about things that mean nothing to what we're talking about. Okay? So make sure you're using the things from above in order to answer this particular value here. Question number 8. So we're going to want to remember that we're on question number 8, first of all, and this is where we're going to have an upload file. So this is where we're going to get to create some stuff using StatKey, and it says save only one file. So we're going to save one single file with your name, and that's going to get uploaded in a couple of different places. So first of all, it says on StatKey with the dataset Happy Planet Index. Okay, I'm going to show you how to get that. Now, we have 4 different A, B, C, and Ds. So the first one, let's just focus on A. So we have question 8, and we have subset A. We are want to do a life expectancy 1Q, okay, one quantitative value. You need to create a histogram with 20 buckets and a box plot, and you need to copy and paste the histogram or box plot onto a Word file. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, so first of all, let's go to StatKey. So what I just normally do is I just go into Google and I just type StatKey. And when I type up StatKey, it'll bring up StatKey Lock 5. That's what you're looking for. Now, a couple of things. We're over here on this side over here. And remember, I'm going to keep jumping back and forth. We're talking about 1Q. 1Q is one quantitative right over here. Okay. If it was 1C, it'd be one categorical. So 1Q. Well, when I go to 1Q, and pardon the internet, what we're going to notice is what we're trying to find here is we're trying to find the Happy Planet Index. Okay. And under here, if I look at data sets, Happy Planet Index is not here. So what I need to do is I need to upload that file. Anytime I don't see the file that I'm looking for, I need to upload it. I go to StatKey. So I'm opening a separate one here. Under StatKey, I'm going to go to right here. I'm going to go to the link right here, StatKey Unlocking Power of Data. Okay, so I've just opened myself and gone to this. I'm going to Data Sets. Now I'm looking for Happy Planet Index. Remember, it's listed right here. Happy Planet Index. So alphabetically, Happy Planet Index right here. And I want the CSV. So I click the CSV and I let that file download itself someplace. Okay. Mine is right here. Happy Planet Index CSV. So now I'm back to home. And now I go back to StatKey. So again, that link right there will take me to the data. I go back to 1Q. I go to upload my file. Probably more than likely on most of your computers, it's going to be in the download area. And so when I click on download, I can see the Happy Planet Index is right there. Notice when the Happy Planet Index opens, I get all of this data set going on. So again, I did not open Excel. All I did was tell StatKey to go download or upload the CSV that I pulled out. Okay, we got to see which heading we want here. So we go back here, life expectancy. See them? They're all categorized for you in colors. Life expectancy is the one that I want. So I come back here and I find life expectancy and I click on it. I say, okay. Okay, what am I creating? So I come back here and says, okay, I'm supposed to make a histogram with 20 buckets. I change to histogram. I change to 20 buckets. Oops, 19. 20 buckets. And this is my first chart that I want. So now what I need to do is I need to snip this thing. I need to get it. So a couple of ways to do that. One, I use a program called greenshot.org, and it's a nice tool. It works. You can also, on most Windows, you can use the snip tool. See it right here? So you can open the snipping app on every Windows, and you just simply hit new right here. And in new, I'm just going to simply, I want the whole thing. So I went from here to here and all the way down. So make sure you include the x-axis data and you include everything else that's required. Okay, right there. So now I can save this or I can just simply copy it. So when I snip it, I think it's in my copy already. I'm just going to put copy on it just in case. So I'm going to minimize this thing. Now, where do we want to put this? We want to put this thing into a Word document. So we're going to have to open up a Word document. And remember, we are on question 8A. So I'm going to start with Q8A. And I'm going to give it a label. If you remember correctly, when we were working on this one was called, what was this one called? Life expectancy. Okay. So I'm going to come back to life expectancy. And I'm going to put that value in for life expectancy. Okay. Probably ought to write all that out, but I'm kind of in a hurry. I don't want to make the video too long. Okay. Now what do we got to do? So now we have to go back. And again, I'm going to go ahead and save this right now. And remember, it's just going to be one large file. I think that the best way to do this is to go to Save As and put this on my desktop for now. So we're going to call this, first of all, we're going to put Lab 1, and then, oops, you need to put your name on it. So the student, can't spell today, student name, okay? And then I'm going to hit Save. Now it's saved as Lab 1, Robert Needing, Lab 1, somebody. I'm going to go back and see what the other part of this is. I'm not done with question A yet. It says I'm using the same item, but I'm making now a box plot. Okay, so I go back to stat key, and instead of histogram, I change to box plot. And there it is. There's my box plot. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run the snip tool. Probably already have it open. I'm just not sure where I put it at. So I'm going to do a new snip here. I've lost my, oops, hold on. Let me grab that snip tool one more time. Sorry. And I know it's open. I just don't know where it's at. There's new. And I'm going to grab that one right there. Okay. And again, I made that copy of that. I'm going to close it. And I'm going to go back to my Word document. Oops, sorry. And from my Word document, I'm going to put that in that particular area right there. And I'm going to paste it in. And there it is right there. So now I'm done with that particular question. So now I'm on question B. Now, what was question B? Question B was the variable is footprint in 1Q. So now I need to change from life expectancy to footprint. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but now it's going to be question B. So if I go back to my Word document, I notice a lot of jumping back and forth. Here's my question 8B. So let's go back and let's change over. So we want footprint instead. Go back to stat key. I'm going to start all over again because I like to freshen up the data. I like to bring back, in case I've changed anything or done anything. It's not a difficult deal. So remember, that was footprint we wanted. You can always tell from coming back here. So this is going to be for B. And I'm going to run the same thing. So I'm going to do the histogram. I'm going to change the bucket size, and then I'm going to snip it, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to do the box plot. I'm going to snip it. I think that you can handle that from here. And again, that'll go into my Word document. Coming down to part C, variable. Now I need, notice it goes from 1Q and 1Q, which means 2Q, right? So now I need to do a GDP per capita, and I need to do an HPI. Notice it, x-axis on the GDP and y-axis on the HPI. So I'm going to go back to stat key. Always hit the home button on stat key. I'm going to go to 2 Q. I'm going to do the upload file once again. Happiness index is always the same one for this particular one. Now, notice up top in the left, it wants X first and it wants Y second. So again, remember here, X first was GDP. So if I come here and I go across the top and I go find GDP per capita right there. And then it wants me to have HPI. I'm going to come back, I'm going to have HPI right there, and I'm going to say OK. Notice I'm going to get a scatter plot with an x-axis of GDP and a y-axis of HPI, which is exactly what I was supposed to have. Right here it says you must, right here, you must have a red regression line. Okay, so go back, click the little button that says red regression. Notice in the right-hand side, all the statistics appear for me. I get the mean, the standard deviation, the sample size, correlation. That will be important to you. You'll be asking questions about correlation. You'll want to come back here. And what does it mean for it to be negative correlation? That means something, okay? Correlation is negative. This red line is not the slope. This red line is the correlation factor, okay? And that's why we showed the regression right here. That was the correlation between the data. And it's negative for a reason. You're going to need to interpret that. So you want to take a picture of this. And again, where you're going to put that back into, you're going to put that back into your Word document. So now we've answered question A, B, and we've done C. D, the only one left. Notice D has one Q and one C to create a side-by-side box plot. So if I go back here, back to Stat Key, this time I choose one Q and one C, one quantitative, one categorical. By now you should know we're going to upload the file. We're going to change it to Happy Planet Index. We're going to open it. We have to grab the values. We want side-by-side box plots. We want side-by-side box plots. So hold on one second. I messed that up. We want side-by-side box plots. And we want it for our Happy Planet Index. Again, HDI and region. So the first one we need is HDI, not PI, but HDI. So we have to make sure that we get the proper one here. HDI right here. And I think it said region, right? Region and region. And we say OK. And we switch to box plots. And there's our box plots. All the data in here to the right, it'll be interesting to us. And then anything here, notice you can hover over any point you want and you can get the reading, okay? So any number that you need, you can hover over it and get those actual values of these outliers. These asterisk values are outlier values. So what I need you to do is copy and paste in that particular item into that file. So when you're all done with this particular file here, it'll have multiple questions on it for question 8, or multiple answers, I should say, for question 8. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to write your name at the very top of it also. So when I'm looking at the file, I know quickly that it's yours, and then these are your answers to your questions. This one file will be saved and uploaded in a couple spots that I'll show you in a second. When you move on, question 9, here, multiple choice again. All of these pieces are multiple choice. Notice that here we're talking about a scatter plot, screen plot from GDP and HPI. You already created that. All of these questions now, after creating this file, all of these questions refer back to this file you made. So you're going to want to have this open so you can come back here and you can look at these different things you've made. That should be straightforward to you. So after you go through all these questions, make sure you answer them particularly. And remember, they will all go in electronically. And now for this, the very bottom question here. Do you believe HDI is a good measure of human development and achievement? Why or why not? It says essay with your own words, at least one paragraph, 3 or 4 sentences. Again, distinct. A paragraph will get the job done nicely, but that job done nicely is going to include the vocabulary and it's going to be meaningful. It's going to be to the point. Don't try to fluff it up. Just simply go to it, answer it, and move on. Now, where do I put all these answers and where do I upload this file? So when I'm, remember, back in Canvas, so we've looked at the paper version, we filled it out. You watch the video, you're good to go. You read the essential because you answered the questions. You're ready to answer items. You click on the actual Canvas assignment. It tells you how many points there are and all those different things. You hit Take Quiz. You answer all the mechanical questions here. So question number 1, you already have the answers for. You just click the drop down, you grab the one you want, and boom, you move on. Okay, and remember, some terms will be used more than once. When you get to question, remember it's question number 8. Here's your TED TV. You can just watch it right here if you like. Here's your nice little chart in a little bit better color, but I think that the printout version works a little better for me. I can blow it up a little larger. When I get to question number 8, and here's your paragraph. Question number 8, here we go. So in question number 8, this is the one where you created all of the screenshots. Remember, there are 6 of them in total. One file, 6 different pictures. You go here, you choose the file. For me, remember, it was on my desktop. I called it lab number 1 student name, and that's the file that I would upload. So once I put this in here, then I upload that file, and that's what I will grade for you. And when you're all done, you hit the button that says submit. It's going to grade for you the mechanical items, but it will not grade for you the extended response. I have to do that. Remember, if you want to redo any of the mechanical responses or you want to re-upload anything, remember you have to re-upload everything. So have a copy of all your information. Hope this helped you out, and I will probably do another one for lab number 2. Enjoy yourself.